Hi there, it's Nicole, and today I have another new card featuring some stamps from the Simon Says Stamp STAMPtember 2014 release. This is the Autumn Blessings stamp, and I'm also going to be using this great leaf background and several of the new ink colors from this release as well. What I'm going to do here is ink up the leaf background stamp with the Caribbean blue ink. The stamp and the ink are both new products. And then I'm going to use some of the Simon Says Stamp Soft Navy cardstock. This is already pre-cut into a standard size card, so it's 5.5 by 4 1/4. And I'm going to press the front of that card onto my inked background, and I've just placed a scrap piece of paper over the top of that to protect my fingers so that I don't get the back of my card inky. And then I have this great inked background. Now it's pretty vibrant right now because the ink is wet, but this is a dye ink, so it will fade. So in the finished card you may notice that the ink background is much more subtle, which I like a lot better. I just wanted it to kind of have that leaf texture. This is some smooth white cardstock, and I have stamped one of the wreath designs with the leaves from the Autumn Blessings stamp set. Now this stamp set does come with coordinating die, doesn't come with coordinating dies, but you can purchase the coordinating dies if you choose to. But I wanted to show kind of more of a one layer type stamped image here. So I'm choosing to not use the dies for this particular card, and instead am building my wreath with the elements from this stamp set. I love this stamp set. There are lots of ways you can use this. You can even create more holiday or Christmas themed wreaths with this stamp set if you use the pine cones and then the little set of dots that could be holly or holly berries or something like that. Just a zillion ways to use this awesome stamp set. I wanted to go for more of a end of summer into fall type wreath. So I'm building a sunflower and pine cone type wreath. There are two sizes of sunflowers, and I am using both the goldenrod, which is one of the new Simon Says Stamp inks, and then their sunshine ink, which is from a previous release, but the two yellow colors work well together to build some sunflower images so that all of the florals aren't one color. And then I'm using the great cobblestone ink for all of the pine cones. The greenery was stamped with the new Beanstalk Green ink. So there you can see my wreath and how I have filled it all in to make it really nice and full. But I wasn't done there. I really felt like I needed to add a little bit more depth and dimension, especially to the florals. I'm taking the Wink of Stella brown glitter marker and just coloring in the center of those sunflowers. And I think that just takes the whole design up a notch. It really gives that dimension that you want with a stamped image. Now I decided to take the clear Wink of Stella glitter pen because I didn't want to change the colors of my sunflowers, but I wanted them to be glittery to kind of coordinate with the inside there, or the inside portion of my sunflowers. So I'm coloring over all of the yellow with the clear glitter pen. And I'll just go over each and every one of these. It's a little hard to see in the video, but on the finished card, the glitter adds quite a lot of detail to the design. And I'm going to take yet one more of these glitter pins. This is the gold. And then you can see there's a little white space or opening in all of these leaves, and I am taking my glitter pen and just tracing over all of those little white areas. It gives a little bit more of a dimensional look for all of the greenery. Not being real specific or anything like that, just kind of using a light hand and gently going over it. And there is my finished wreath. Now to give this a little bit more of a finished look, I'm going to use this really thin rectangular frame die from the Simon Says Stamp Frames die collection. This was from This is the Life release, and it was just an awesome frame die set, and I love it. I've used it multiple times, but I just can't get enough of it. And I really love die cutting my pieces like this for the front of my card. I think it gives a really finished professional look. So I've die cut that, and I'm going to keep the inside portion there instead of that little thin frame. However, I am going to take an additional piece of the soft navy cardstock, run that through, and I will keep the thin frame portion of that. And I'll show you how I put all of that together when I get to putting the card together there on the front panel. So there's kind of what it's going to look like. But the white of the center part of my card feels a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Plain, I guess. And I felt like it needed just a little bit of something in the background. And I was trying to decide here exactly what greeting I wanted to use, and I chose the Autumn Blessings. But before I stamp and emboss that, I decided to take one of my new favorite border stamps from Mama Elephant. This is from their Sentimental Borders that just came out, and I've shared quite a few card examples with this, like about a week or a week and a half ago or so. And I love this stamp set for a subtle text background. You can build it however you want. So I chose one of the borders from this, and I'm going to be using the Grout Gray ink from My Favorite Things because it's very light. It's not overpowering. I definitely don't want to overpower the stamped wreath on this. I just want a very subtle text background, and I'm just going to start at the bottom and build my way up to have an entire background with this text. Reach the top there. I have one little area that needs that, and you can see it's very light, but it really gives that center panel a nice finished look. I'm going to ink up my sentiment with some Versamark ink and stamp that right below my wreath. And then I thought some gold embossing powder would be a really nice touch for this fall themed card. And I will heat emboss that, and then I'll be ready to put my card all together. So I have a lot of flat pieces here. I have the background and I have this panel. And I wanted to add some simple embellishing. So I poked a little hole there in the bottom of my wreath, and I'm just simply twisted some twine together to make a little bow, and then through that hole I poked, I threaded through some twine and tied a knot onto the back of this panel so that I could add a little twine bow to the bottom of my wreath. This adds some nice dimension, but it's not bulky, so it will still be easy to mail. Now, I didn't really tighten a knot, I guess I should say. I actually just tied it once, and I tied it pretty tight, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to keep that secure. I didn't want it to be bulky, and so that's why I didn't tie it in the knot. But I am applying some of the foam adhesive, you can see here, to the back panel of my card, but I'm overlapping the edges. And the reason for this is because I have that teeny tiny thin frame. But I love popping up these panels on my card because I think it adds some nice dimension and helps. It just is so much more interesting, I think, than a very flat card. So that tiny little edge that I left overlap is perfect to secure my frame to the outside of my stamped panel. So that was just my easy way of doing that, and you can see that I used some foam tape in the middle to secure those ends of my twine so that bow does not come undone. So I'm going to take a little glossy accents then to my pine cones to give those some dimension. I waited until I had my card pretty well put together so that I wouldn't make a mess with my glossy accents, and then I'll set that aside to dry. I did finish my card here, you can see, with a few gemstones, and then I glued a little wooden heart to the center of my bow. The supplies I've used are listed and linked below the video on YouTube. For weekly card making and scrapbooking videos, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.